welcome to another episode of the Navbar podcast. Simon, what have you been up to for the last 3 minutes since we recorded the last episode?
I had a sandwich, a little bit of water, went to the bathroom, and I'm back.
That is so efficient. You did
Yeah.
very well. I tweaked more settings on my camera and didn't actually leave this room. So
I know, I
You
went
did it.
outside and got a bit of air.
that is such a smart idea. I definitely should have done that. The reason we are recording a second episode is, well, firstly, I'm taking a couple of weeks off. Things have been so busy the last couple of months leading up to going to Spain. If you've been following along, I went to Spain for a Superbase offsite where we all got together. It was awesome. It was fun. But we were recording some videos while we were in Spain, and so some launch week videos. And so it was very busy leading up to leaving to go to Spain, trying to work out what we were going to record and organizing all of the set and things. And then when we got there, things were just so busy trying to find the time to actually record those videos in between all of the other fun team activities we had planned. And then got back and was super jet lagged and got sick, and then went straight into launch week. Which was just wild. And now I finally am catching some breath after launch week and realizing I probably just need to relax, spend some time with the family, and just decompress a little bit, which lines up nicely
And
with school holidays.
conveniently, there's a lot of public holidays coming in Australia. Easter Friday, Easter Monday, Anzac Day. So you got 3 public holidays within almost the same week. So you just got to take 3 days off and it bridges the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm doing the same.
Yeah. And yeah, you take like 6 or 7 days off and you can get 2 full weeks. Simon, just take the full time. It's great.
I'm keeping the rest for usually around Christmas is when we do the big school holidays thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good time to just use 1 week each worth of your leave, and you get 2.5. You get 3 weekends and 2 weeks.
Yeah. And it happens to be school holidays, but thankfully not the first week of school holidays. So I have 1 week where I get some lovely family time and get to do fun stuff. And then I also get 1 week where I don't.
An
And
actual holiday.
yeah, I get to rest and rejuvenate a little bit before I get back into it. But
yeah, sometimes with kids, most holidays is like, oh God, 3 more days and I can get back to work and have my
yeah. And so yeah, it'll be nice to balance it out. A little bit of family time, a little bit of me time or us time. Me and
Are you going camping or doing something anywhere?
We were going to go to Canberra for Easter, and then we decided just to have a quiet, relaxing holiday here.
Which is nice.
We have been changing schools and things. My daughter started primary school this year, and we have changed the primary school that she's going to. And so we decided we wanted to have a little bit more of a calm, quiet holiday in between the chaos of switching everything up again.
It's a nice kind of holiday. Honestly, especially since we moved in a really holiday-like place up the coast, my ideal holiday is stay where I'm at, but just take a break from work and go surfing twice a day and sleep in the morning and just spend more time with the kids.
Yeah.
However, I am going camping with my family in a place called Diamond Head. I've been there, might have talked on the podcast 1 or 2 years ago when I was there. It's a place a bit down the coast. It used to be up the coast from Sydney, but it's between here and Sydney. And it's right by the beach, and there's only 48 campsites, and there's kangaroos absolutely everywhere. I mean, where I live now, there's kangaroos too, so I will be less impressed. When you come from Sydney, it's like, oh my God, I'm sitting having a beer by the camp, and then the kangaroo literally walks past, and kids can pet them. I wouldn't pet them as adults because they get a bit boxy. But yeah, we're going there, and the whole week is going to be surfing and chilling and spending time with friends from Sydney who go up halfway. So it's going to be nice.
That's lovely. And yeah, I said we weren't doing anything, but then immediately realized we are going down to the beach for like 4 days. So my parents own a beach house.
Geelong.
And yeah,
Torquay.
no, not in Torquay. It's in
Anglesey.
No, it's on the other side. It's the like wait,
In
which
the
side are we
bay,
on? The eastern side of Melbourne. Not any of the famous beaches, not any of the fancy. Wait, the western side, whatever.
southern, yeah.
Uh, Down near Wonthaggi, that kind of area, or
Yeah.
Inverloch, that way.
Yeah, so the where John lives and the places I've mentioned is when you go west from Melbourne, and it's the start of the Great Ocean Road, and there's like world famous surf breaks, uh,
Beautiful.
Bells Beach, and yeah,
World
it's the
famous from Point Break,
Point
the
Break. Yeah,
movie. They pretend that they are at Bells Beach when they are not. They show a sign that says Bells Beach that is not at Bells Beach, and then go to a beach that's completely a different
yeah. If you
orientation to
know
the
Bells
beach.
Beach, you're like, hang on.
Okay. But world famous, not actually starring in Hollywood films.
Yeah. I guess there's a lot of people traveling to see Bells Beach just to say, oh, that's the beach from Point Break.
Yep.
That's where Buddy goes.
Yeah. Oh, look, this is where Keanu Reeves. Wait, this doesn't quite look like where
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves was. But yes, the other side. But we
Okay.
will have some lovely family beach time, which is always just so relaxing. I always underestimate, like we said in the last episode about like exercising in between all the stressful times. I always uh, underappreciate how much like camping or just being at the beach is just the most relaxing thing with kids.
Camping without internet cell reception is
Yeah.
like the. I have an addiction. I cannot live without my phone. I always check it. And so when I go camping and it's like I check it and it's like, there's no reception. I look at my photos, it's like, and then I'm like, second day, I'm like, you know what? The phone can stay in the tent or in the car. And
Mm.
then I'm like, oh, this is what I need. This is good. This is
Oh,
a proper break.
look at the
Detox.
trees. Look at all this
Yeah.
nature. Where did this come from?
Talk to
Yeah.
people and yeah.
Speaking of being glued to your phone, this episode is all about being glued to YouTube. We recently hit. If you're going camping, make sure you have reception. Make sure you're subscribed to the Superbase YouTube channel to see all of the videos that we put out. This week we hit a new milestone, which is very exciting. We hit 50,000 YouTube subscribers, which
Woo.
in itself isn't like one of the big milestones for YouTube. But when you look at the graph, you see this like crazy exponential curve, which has just been awesome, like being such an integral part of that. Like when I
Yeah.
started, there was nothing. And so it's awesome seeing this, like the summary of
The
me
hockey
and the
stick
rest of the
curve. Yeah.
team's efforts. Yeah, it's very, very cool. And what it really demonstrates is like a steep growth curve towards what my goal really is, which is hitting 100K. That was like when well, maybe not when I started at Superbase, but when we started really focusing on the channel, that was kind of like this. Imagine if we could get a YouTube play button, which is like what you get when you get 100K. And
Yep.
it felt like such a just far off, never actually going to get their goal. It was like let's aim super high and just like try and hit that. And so it's amazing to be halfway there, but on a growth curve that I think is going to reach 100K a
Yeah,
lot
you have that
sooner.
feeling that the second milestone is gonna happen quicker because you've got this momentum
Definitely.
built up.
Like, I mean, we
Yeah.
hit, so it was only like three or 4 months ago, I think. Yeah, I think it was about 4 months ago that we were at 35K. So that's how quickly it's ramped up. Like I've been at Superbase for 4 years. So 4 years of growth has got to 50K, but 15 of that has been in the last 4 months. So
Yeah.
it's
So you've
definitely on
reached
track.
critical mass. What is
Yeah,
it? Escape velocity.
that's right.
It's like, now it's
And
going
like
up.
this is kind of why I wanted to do this episode, is because from uh the like DevRel team side of things, we've been really intentional recently about really stepping up our YouTube game and intentionally trying to make it a lot more interesting. And I think have
Yeah.
really, like, we've seen that immediately in the curve of growth on both the subscribers and just general engagement on all of our videos, the amount of views they're getting, the amount of likes and comments and stuff they get. So I thought I would try and think about some things that we've been really intentional about, and we'll do a bit of an episode on. I think previously we've definitely done a few episodes on like the gear side of things,
Yep.
and how to like pick a topic and things like that. But I thought it'd be really interesting to talk about kind of um, tweaking things for YouTube or
An
the more
actual
like
strategy
promotional
for
side
YouTube.
and
Yeah.
trying to make a video succeed and or even just generally like tweets and anything else that we do as part of DevRel or the
Yep.
promotion side that is an incredibly important part that we probably spend less time talking about because developers have an aversion to marketing and things, and so we try not to talk about the other bits of effort that we put into making these things
Yep.
successful. And so I thought it would be good to talk through
Yeah.
those, especially focusing on YouTube and the things that we have been really intentional about the videos that we're choosing to create and yeah, some of the process that we follow there. Does
Nice.
that sound good, Simon?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Like you said, we talk immensely over and over about the gear, the microphone, the lights, the stuff. Even offline after the podcast, we talked about our lights and stuff again.
And
So it's good to talk.
every sick pick you
Yeah.
tell me about some other amazing thing, and then I'm like, well, of course I have to go and buy that, and then it just like throws everything in the setup into chaos, and I have to
Yeah.
start tweaking everything again.
But it's nice to, because all these tools are a mean to a way to actually produce things that can be packaged into something that reaches an audience, which hopefully helps with whatever your team is trying to do. Yeah, and I've complimented you recently on starting to go doing outside shots and bring some entertainment. And like, I forgot who says that. A lot of people say it, but like, education is entertainment, and YouTube specifically is entertainment before like information source. And all the great YouTubers have a really entertaining approach to bring content. And so I think if you want to succeed in the YouTube space, it's really important to not just explain, here's the feature, here's how you set cookies on the server, and then you on the client, you can local storage save it. That's boring. You can read the docs for that. So bringing some fun and sunglasses and some like yourself talking to an AI agent version of yourself sitting on the couch, this sort of stuff is, I think, contributing to people subscribing to the channel because they're like, oh, this John guy is cool and the other people on the team are really cool. I like what they do. I have not really a huge interest in using Superbase myself, but I love the YouTube channel because it's entertaining and it shows another approach to do things. So yeah,
Yeah,
keep
and I
doing what you
think
do, man.
thanks, man. That's very kind. And yeah, I think you are a huge inspiration in making things entertaining and engaging and fun,
Yeah.
rather than just being like a tech topic that you're listing off
And
things.
so, where is Ant Wilson going to put the YouTube plaque in his background?
I get the YouTube plaque.
Ah,
No, we've been talking about this. Apparently, you can get multiples, but if you can't, we're gonna have to do some kind of sharing it around every like 3 months. We pass it on to the next person. But Ant definitely deserves he definitely deserves the meme plaque for he just is killing it on the
is
Twitter
that Ant
memes and has
behind the
been.
memes on Superbase Twitter account?
Yeah,
It's great. So
actually,
good.
we filmed a great little snippet. I don't. We're trying to work out how we use it in a a way that's not going to upset lots of people. But if you use Superbase, you get free projects. You get 2 free projects at the moment. And yeah, if you when you with a free project, if you don't have any API requests, or basically if the database is not used in any way for 7 days, then it
Goes to
automatically
sleep.
pauses,
Yep.
and you get an email from Ant letting you know that he has paused your database. And this has become like a bit of a an in joke with like the Superbase community that Ant is just like he's the CTO of the company, but he just spends all his time like shutting
Shutting
down
people.
projects for like not getting enough users and not being successful enough. And
Not
there's lots
enough.
of it's funny, but and he leans right into it as well with the
Yeah, I
memes
love
and
that. That's
is always poking fun at it. And
yeah.
so while we had this like awesome set and these like high quality cameras, we got this amazing snippet of him being like, if you're watching this, I just paused your database. If you want it to stay live, you got to get more users. And just like, yeah, so funny. But we'll see. We need to use it in a tactful way.
Yeah, I love the leaning into it. He's a funny character.
Yeah.
Is that Ant doing the every time I go on TikTok, which is not often, but once every 3 or 4 weeks, I just turn it on because I'm addicted to my phone, and I'm like, oh, I've scrolled Twitter for too long,
Yeah.
and then I see this random super bass. It's always a meme of like, and there's a caption saying like junior dev pushing a pull request, and there's like this, like there's always a funny thing with a little background. Yeah,
Yeah.
is that Ants doing this too?
And Yuri has taken over a lot of the TikTok reels, YouTube shorts,
So funny.
a lot of the tweets. She's been killing it.
Yeah.
And yes, those two work together on. We actually we have an internal memes channel at Superbase, which is
Oh, I
just
believe
like
it. Yep.
it is the highest caliber of meme that you could possibly get. Some of them, don't make it to the public channels. Some of them are very funny, but maybe would upset some people. And then we also we have for a company that has very few meetings, like we have one recurring DevRel meeting a week, and that's it. I go to very, very, very
Yep.
few meetings. For a company that has such a culture around not having meetings, there is a like 2 hour long meme meeting
Mandatory
weekly.
for all hands.
Yeah, pretty much. It is the most important meeting of the week where anyone can throw in ideas about memes for the channel.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to build a remote culture, and like fun and laughs is what connects people. And I guess there's not many things digitally that can provide this. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I
And
actually
Superbase,
still don't. Yeah, I still don't know if it's a joke, but at some point, Superbase was looking to hire a meme CEO of memes, or like a full-time meme person, and maybe Yuri is that person.
yeah,
But I was like,
she,
I don't know if it's a joke, or but it looks legit because they actually do it full-time. So maybe
yeah,
Ant
like
was
it
someone to.
actually isn't a joke. And at one point, like pretty much the whole time I've been at Superbase until Yuri started, we were looking for someone to take some of that off Ant's plate because he's the CTO and shouldn't be spending a whole bunch of time making
Yeah,
memes and like
serious stuff like shutting down people's database, put
yeah,
them to
that's right,
sleep.
manually shutting them all down. And we just couldn't do it for so long. Anytime we would hire someone or like try to hand it over to someone, it just didn't have the same tone. And so, yeah, basically the most important thing that the CTO of Superbase could be working on is not databases and infrastructure and things like that. It is keeping the memes as
Well,
on
I
brand as
yeah,
possible.
I'd say this contributes a lot to the user base and how people adore and feel connected to Superbase more than most software services. So yeah, you can have a great app if you don't have users. It's like, what's the
Yeah,
point?
for sure.
I'm sure like these memes and humor and kind of like lightweight stuff brings a lot of people to try Superbase, and then they're like, hang on, this is actually super good.
Which brings me to my first point about YouTube and the
Yep.
things that you should focus on. My first high level point, I've got like four of these, and one of them is consistency. And so sometimes people think this is consistency through like releasing a video every single week, and it can be that. It can
Yeah.
be the consistency of the
Scheduling.
frequency of scheduling these videos out. But the other thing you can be consistent about is like the niche that you exist within and trying to create a community and trying to create a vibe or a specific type of video or a specific type of value that your videos provide.
Yep.
And understanding what that is and being intentional about being consistent through that. And so a good example of that is on the Twitter account, at least, is Ant with these memes. Like he has kept the kind of tone of them consistent and so high quality, and understood that that's such an important part of building the community
Yep.
around Superbase that he has focused so much time on doing that thing. And so I think being intentional about the consistency and giving people something that they can latch onto. So whether that is like through memes and through a community, or whether that is through the frequency of things coming out, like knowing every single Tuesday at 5 p.m. or at 3 p.m. or whatever, this channel always drops a video, and that happens to
Yep.
be when I'm looking for something to watch in the afternoon or
Yep.
watch over lunch or something like that. Um, being surfaced through people's like your videos being surfaced through people's feeds at the same time every week can help to embed you into a bit of their routine in their week. And so having consistency there where people can expect that thing. Another example of this being done really well is like people like Prime and Theo and all of those like streamer people. who have like a standing time or
Every
like
week.
a
Yep.
standing time every day or a standing time every week where they just live stream for a couple of hours and people know that is happening and they can expect that that thing is going to happen at the same time every week,
Yep.
and so they can join in on this like recurring event this and become a part of this community. And I think it's through that consistency that people can feel a part of it.
Yep, humans are creatures of habits, and if you give them a little habit routine, they can get into comfortably. The example that comes to mind for me is Harry Mack, the freestyle rapper.
Yeah.
Since before COVID, but he really picked up during COVID because he started doing online stuff on Omegle. But every single Friday night in the US, he releases a video that's about 20 minutes long, and it's got 3 or 4 freestyles. He's done it every single week in the last 3-4 years. It's ridiculous. I'm sure he's got some queued up and scheduled for, but the consistency. And in Australia, it comes out at like Saturday morning at 3 or 4 a.m. So almost every Saturday, unless we're camping or doing something, when the kids are in bed before I go to bed, I'm like, oh, a new Harry Mack video. It's like the weekend little routine, and and I end up sharing it most weeks because it's so freaking good. But yeah, it's amazing.
That's a perfect example. Yeah. And just like doing the same thing, that consistency, you know what to expect from that stream. Um, and so another thing that I would say is don't just like throw anything at the algorithm. This is something that you probably do want to do early on while you're finding what
Yeah,
works.
trying
And
to
so
find your niche. Yeah.
trying live streams, trying like technical videos, trying reaction videos or whatever, trying all these different types of videos. um, you need to do that to work out what actually resonates with your audience and start building an audience. But once you see like one of those things spike beyond the other things, then it's probably a good opportunity to like niche down into that particular thing and try to
Try again, see
recreate.
if it hits again. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And if it keeps hitting, then
Yeah.
obviously that is something that the audience that YouTube is surfacing your videos to resonates with. And so if you enjoy creating that kind of content and there is a significant, like noticeable group of people that want to watch that content as well, then keep making that content and don't throw random other stuff. Like it's okay to experiment again and just like every now and again you put a different type of video out and just see like, does this engage a new audience, or does this do the existing audience resonate with this in the same way? But that example that you gave of Harry Mack is like he worked out what that niche thing is, and he just keeps doing it, and the audience gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they know what to expect from this channel. And there's so many examples of that with like, I guess Mr. Beast with these like massive game shows and stuff. Obviously, that's stuff that resonates with his audience. Or the like, even like there are so many examples of this on TikTok where there's like that, I forget their name, but the person who is just like does Subway interviews,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. Yeah,
they just do the same thing every single video.
yeah. And it
They
picks
interview
up.
someone, they ask them a question, but it's like once you understand that format, like you know what to expect from
You
that
kind of
channel,
look
and so
forward to the next one. Ah, yeah, I know this
exactly,
thing. Yeah.
yeah,
What is he gonna ask? This. Yeah.
and so understanding what your niche is and understanding what resonates with your audience, and then trying to put out a lot of
Yeah.
that kind of content would
Yeah.
be
It's great
another thing
advice.
I would.
That's something with my personal channel I struggle with a lot because first of all I have zero consistency schedule and time wise because I got a full-time job and family and try to go outside exercise when I remember. And so every now and then I do a video and I always want to try something else. Once I took someone, Christoph Rumpel, who now happens to work at Laravel, but he was getting into, like, he was doing videos already. And I said, hey, do you mind if I do a Simon reacts to a screencast and I pause and I give some tips? And he was like, dude, I would love that. And I did one. And then I kind of like, I watch his video. I'm in the corner and I pause and I explain some stuff I would do different. And then there was a little bit of engagement, but I was like, oh, I should go and do a series out of this. But then the next one, I was like reviewing a webcam. And then I was like, I'm trying all these things. And you can see that I guess people unsubscribe or they don't like engage with your videos, so you kind of get penalized. I put some key static live stream videos and stuff because I was working at ThinkMill, but they were like, dude, use your own channel, you've got more audience, and like we want to be perceived as a group of people rather than a company trying to push the product. So yeah, but also I tend sometimes to try to detach myself from the Tailwind guy. And every video that is not on Tailwind, all the comments are like, when are you going to do Tailwind content? You were so good. I missed this. Tailwind, Tailwind, Tailwind. And whenever I do something with Tailwind, it has like 10 times more views. So it's like reinforcing when you said, when you do something that you are good at and then people seem to want, double down in this. And I'm like, I keep getting yanked back into this. Like I'm the UI styling Tailwind person. And obviously I have some sort of reputation in the Tailwind community, so I can kind of piggyback on that. But yeah, I agree with all the points that you said about consistency in time and topic and niche and making something predictable for the audience in YouTube.
Yeah, but an important part is that you enjoy it. Like, I know you do enjoy that, but I'm
Yep.
saying, like, if you pick something that you hate and you give it a go, and then, or you try it, you think you'd like it, you do it, and it's just like it doesn't feel that inspiring to you, and you get a bunch of views, and even getting a bunch of views doesn't push more inspiration into that bucket. Like, it's not gonna work being consistent with that thing if it's something that you have to drag yourself through to do every time. And
Yep.
so finding something that is a good intersection of you like doing it and other people like watching you do it, you need to find those intersections. And so you do need to experiment to get to that point. But once you do find something that hits in that way,
Yep.
double down on it. And that was
Yep.
an intentional thing or a lesson that we had to learn at Superbase. Initially, like, because Superbase can be used by any platform, there's like two big areas that we were focusing on initially, which was mobile and web. And so
Oh,
I
yeah.
was creating a bunch of web content. Tyler, one of the other dev roles, was creating a bunch of mobile content. And I think it really was confusing the Superbase algorithm that we would throw like a
Yep.
Next.js video up and that would like do really, really well. And then we would put up a Flutter video, and the first people that YouTube surfaces this video to are your subscribers, and then people that engaged well with the previous video. They're like the two first test groups.
Yeah.
And so when you test, like, people that engaged with Next.js content have no interest, well,
Yep.
potentially have
And
no
so they
interest
close the
whatsoever.
window early, and then the
Yeah,
algo is like, oh, actually, this thing is tanking now.
exactly. Yeah,
They fell
it
off.
sends these signals to YouTube saying, well, these people that liked the previous video that they put out really didn't like this video, so therefore the video must not be good and isn't, like, their
Yeah.
subscribers aren't
So
watching it.
let's dial it back, the fader back down, because we maybe got excited a bit for them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it dials down the amount of impressions it gets. And then, it's just a death spiral into that video not doing well. And vice versa as well. Like, there were some videos, something exciting happened in the Flutter community. Tyler would put out a video on that. It would do incredibly well. And then the next video we put out on like Svelte or something would just like completely flop. And
Yeah.
so um,
This is how every channel ends up talking about Next.js, Tailwind CSS, and Chat CNUI.
that's the thing. And we got like, we got publicly attacked about it for a long time.
Yep.
And people were complaining that we would create the majority of our content on Next.js, and we only care about React, we only care about Next.js. But the reality there is, like, if we're trying to show off a technical concept, like, let's say we're trying to show off indexing in a
Yeah,
database.
the front end is irrelevant, so you can reach more people with the popular.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it has Next.js and that engages that community, and we know we have access to engaging that community, if we create a Next.js video
Yep.
and we get 30,000 views, or we create a Svelte video and we get 1,000 views, like, there is a huge difference in the number of people that see that video because we
Cool.
chose one technology over the other.
Yeah.
And so realizing that we kind of needed to niche down and focus on particular frameworks. And I think something that has really helped with this is this new boom in like AI and AI builders and all of this AI focused content. Everyone's
Also
really
using the same tech.
exactly. And or even the tech that you're using in terms of the framework you're building it in doesn't really matter anymore. The tech that you're using is like the AI stuff. And so it's like Cursor, or it is Claude Code or whatever. And so then those become the areas that we focus on. And we've noticed that, like, if we put out a video on Cursor, every time it does better than any other type of content that we put out.
Yep.
And not just like Cursor versus Windsurf or versus VS Code. If we do something about, like, I don't know, MCP, or we do something about like a specific Claude model or a Llama model or something like that, anytime we put out something that has Cursor in the name, the views just
Yeah.
skyrocket. And so finding those things that resonate really, really well with your audience and trying to double down on those and focus on that, as long as it's something that you enjoy doing.
Yep. But you're outlining a good way of how buzzwords become buzzwords, and it's the same in whole, like, every website are saying, oh, if we put blazing fast in the hero headline, conversion rate goes by 24%. So I know it sucks because Gatsby were maybe the first, and then since everyone said blazing fast, but if we don't, we have, if we say super rapid framework, it doesn't hit the same. So let's pretend we're joking about blazing fast, but the reality is it does perform.
Also, it's not grammatically correct. This thing triggers me every time.
Blazingly fast.
It should be blazingly fast. It's like the Think Different by Apple. It's like it should be Think Differently. And
yeah.
Anyway, let's not go down that path.
You're just getting old, John.
Yeah, English is confusing enough without needing to draw these lines in the sand. The next thing I want to talk about is not. I think a trap that a lot of people fall into, that we've definitely talked about previously, is not starting a YouTube channel until you have the perfect content. You've created the perfect thing. You've got the perfect microphone, the perfect camera, the perfect settings. You've picked the perfect topic, and then you film. If you even get to the point where you film a video, which most people don't, it only gets like 10 views, and 3 of them were your mum, and that's
yeah,
it.
I know. Yeah.
And that destroys people because they think, well, I made a video that was, comparable to this other YouTuber, but they got 1 million views and I got 5. It just, like, I'm not going to do this anymore, and drop the channel entirely. And so this is just like a fallacy that everyone goes through. I definitely went through. I'm sure you went through, Simon, at least to some degree, of like trying to tweak everything and get to a point where you are ready. It is finally ready.
Yeah.
And it's just,
I wrote a whole blog post about it, and I just procrastinated for ages until I started doing something, and then everything snowballed really quickly. So
yeah. And the only way, like, people think that, like, then they film a video and they watch it back and they're like, well, I seem really awkward and I don't look like I'm comfortable talking to the camera, and so I'm just gonna give up. But the only way to actually get better at that stuff, the only way to get more, like, confidence on camera, or feel more comfortable in your space, or get better at camera settings and lighting and picking topics and all of those things, the only way you can get better at that is just by doing it. And so you need to do it a lot of times, and YouTube gives you the perfect platform to do it a lot of times.
You can I was got a little analogy just to make the podcast longer. you can compare
short episodes, Simon.
compare creating content as fitness or push-ups or whatever. Like, you can read and learn about the perfect push-up form and everything. Until you start doing them, nothing is going to happen. And then you can go crazy for 30 days. You do 100 push-ups every day and you get super fit. And then if you stop for another 30 days, you basically go right back to where you were. And I feel I've done this analogy with my YouTube channel. Every now and then I'm like, I've always had that desire to grow my personal YouTube channel, even if I do work for other channels. And so I'm like, I'm gonna on the weekend make a video and put it on my channel, and it gives me momentum, and it makes me earn $7 per YouTube AdSense, whatever. And I'm like, oh, maybe there's a path here. And then I stop and I can see and then I re-put some. But yeah, it's consistency through a long period of time, and you never get better until you start doing things regularly. But also you have to continuously do it, just like exercise and fitness. Otherwise you just fall right back to the beginning. You might have the audience, but you have to put things in motion and reshape your body and stuff like this.
Yeah. Like, it's all just a muscle. Like, everything, like, getting better at basketball. You can't just like watch a bunch of videos about hitting 3-pointers
Yeah.
and understand from their technique what they're doing and then expect that the first time you pick up a ball and throw it is just going to go in. Or like watching a bunch of artists like paint beautiful pictures and watching their technique with their brushes and everything.
Muscle memory, fine control.
Exactly. The first time you put the paintbrush to the canvas, like it's not going to do what they were doing with their years or decades of crafting, of like specializing in that craft and learning exactly how they put pressure on or how much paint they put on.
Yep.
Like there are so many different aspects that go into creating content. You can't
Yep.
just learn yourself into doing it perfectly. You need to just get started and you need to go through iterations and iterations. And you need to understand that it's probably just not gonna feel successful for like a year. Like if you're putting out content every week or
Takes a
fortnightly
while.
or monthly or whatever, you're probably gonna feel like every one of those videos is failing for at least a year. And Mr. Beast has said this many, many times in many interviews, but like the best way to get better at YouTube is just like pick, rather than trying to perfect everything, just get started and pick one thing, one small thing that you didn't like about that video and try and improve it in the next one. And then pick one small thing and try and improve it in the next one. And if you do that, like let's say you're releasing a video every year, if you do that, releasing a video every week for a year, there's 52 opportunities to change something. There's 52 little ways that you have improved incrementally towards where you're at a year later. And that content will be on a whole different level to where you started if
Oh yeah.
you try to identify a small thing that you can improve. And it can be as small as like uh changing a setting on the camera, like changing one setting. And then the next one could be try a different light. And the next, or like a different position for the light. The next one could be like try to structure the intro slightly differently, or try to, you know, like make the example smaller, or spend more time and make a longer video for an hour and see how that feels. Like just trying and tweaking these little bits along the way
Yep.
and learning through that iterative process, learning a little bit each time and improving a little bit each time is the way that you get good at content
Yeah.
creation.
And we both still doing it to this day. Like I got a new light, a new microphone, like literally a couple of weeks ago. And if you need proof that people go through that stage, a really cool thing you can do is take your favorite YouTuber, click on videos and scroll all the way to the bottom. Like absolute legends of YouTube like MKBHD or Mr. Beast, or unless they deleted their content because they're like, oh, this is not good enough for where I'm at now. It's crazy to go look at how they started with in the kitchen with the mom doing stuff in the background and like a bright window behind. So they're like witness protection, just the face has no visibility and the microphone is crappy. And they're like, oh, MKBHB is like, I'm gonna unbox this thing, and he's just like throwing the paper, and it looked absolute crap. And then you see, fast forward, he's got these robot camera angles, and it all. I just put crumbs of food all over my. But yes, it's a good exercise to go look at other people's YouTube and scroll back in history, and then once you've done it yourself for a few years, go do it for yourself. I've done that for the Tailwind Labs channel and my own YouTube channel, and you can see the audio and the delivery and the nerves and stuff. Everything degrade as you go earlier in the career. So it's nice to reflect and see the progress you're doing.
Yeah, you should go back and watch. If you want a really good example of this, if you think the quality on the Superbase YouTube channel has gone right up recently, go back and watch the row level security policies video that I did when I like pretty much first started at Superbase. And my setup was the like spare bedroom, which isn't a spare bedroom anymore because it's my son's room. It was a long time ago before we had two kids. I think, yeah, no, we had one kid. But the background is like super dark. The camera was actually I used I think it was a Gorilla Pod thing,
Mounted
like
it
one of the
somewhere.
stands that you can wrap around things, but wrapped around a rowing machine that was vertical.
You mentioned that in one of the episodes, yeah, to save space and yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I didn't have the space to have a whole separate like set, the kind of thing that I'd iterated towards with this space that I have now.
Yeah.
It was just like a room that we were using for other things. Like we had our rowing machine and exercise stuff in there. It was where I worked from. It was just kind of this combo room that we needed to share across a whole bunch of different things. It also had all the guitars and things up behind me because it was also the music room. And so yeah, it is so hard for me to watch now, especially like the delivery. Like, look at how awkward I am in that intro, and how I
Mm,
look like I'm terrified of the camera and I'm, being held hostage or whatever. It's so hard for me to watch now. But you should go and watch it and
yeah.
compare it to like recent videos that I've done and see
When you need a
how
confidence boost, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And so we all like Simon and I didn't start at this level of feeling
Uh,
confident, being able to present these topics in a really fun, engaging way. We had to get there through a lot of really cringy content.
yeah. My most watched video series ever on the Tailwind Labs channel is the Zero to Production series, which was my first set of videos on camera. So before that, if you go on the Tailwind Labs channel, it's just the screen and my voice, egghead style, and I was really productive. And then the team was like, "Hey, we're gonna give you some money to buy a camera and some light, and we want you on camera." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then this series was like the first release, and I am so robotic and stressed. And then if you read the comments on YouTube, it says like 8 minutes 45 minutes seconds video. The guy did not blink once because I was like staring at the camera and doing my delivery like this. And then if I made a mistake, I would re-record. And then I realized, oh, I'm not delivering it naturally. I'm just doing little segments, and I'm so focused on the lens, I forget to be a human or look away. You know, like if you see someone in the street and you have a conversation, you're not gonna death stare in their eyes the whole time. You look at the mouth a bit, you look aside to break the tension. But when I was delivering, I was locked in the lens the whole time, and then I was like, that's weird. Gotta stop doing this. So
Yeah.
when I go back, that's my feedback. I'm like, I'm just staring into the lens and I never blink, and I'm super like tense.
Yeah. Simon has a little timer off screen that like
No,
flashes every time he needs to blink.
just a blinking thing that takes my attention
Yeah.
outside.
Or it's like in your script on the teleprompter as it comes through. It's like
Yeah.
blink in all capitals.
I'm curious. I do have a question going back to your previous point. I don't know if you've tried this with Superbase and if you have recommendations of having multiple YouTube channels when you want to do mobile and web, and you're like, okay, we've tried to put the same channel and it confuses people. So I've seen a lot of people start a separate alt channel for like, hey, I'm doing screencasting reviews, and it's like Simon does screencast feedback instead of putting it in the main channel. I know YouTube loves this, but the idea when you've built an audience to start from zero again is pretty heartbreaking. So do you have any experience and tips in there?
Yeah, it's something that we've talked about a lot. And it was something that I was really pushing for a while back when we were actually, it was exactly a year ago because it was at the previous offsite. We were talking a lot about this like confusing the audience and throwing a whole bunch of random stuff at the algorithm
What
and it not understanding like this is for a web audience, this is for a
what
mobile
are
audience.
they doing? What who?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because, like, at a high level, we thought, well, we've like niched down to
web
like,
dev and
yeah, or like software development or like using Superbase or whatever.
yeah,
But like YouTube wants you to go much further than that. It needs to be down to like a specific audience that are really interested in a specific thing.
yeah,
And as I said before, like a Next.js community is probably not going to care at all about new features that are coming out in Flutter. They might care about like Svelte or they might care about Vue or like some things that are comparable, but I feel
yeah.
like
But as soon as you
there's a big
cross the
divide,
bridge,
a big
yeah,
chasm between like web and mobile where like I don't consume anything about mobile stuff.
yeah,
Sometimes maybe React Native, but again that's that like link
because
with
there's a little bit
React.
of overlap skill wise, and yeah,
Yeah. And so yeah, we were talking about ways to address this. And one of them that I was really pushing for was creating different channels. And so I forget who it was. I think it was Mr. Beast, maybe someone else. I was watching an interview um, about how like the word channel is kind of like a misnomer. Like it shouldn't be thought of as a channel, because if you think about that in traditional media,
You can
that's like,
switch channels. Yeah.
yeah, it's a TV
It's a
channel. A
T.
TV
Yeah.
channel doesn't have all the same stuff. At particular times, it has recurring shows that happen every day or whatever. But there
The
isn't
topic or
like
something. Yeah.
a show that goes on this channel. It's like a collection of shows that are not related. And so thinking of it more as a show rather than a channel. So if you were watching like The Simpsons at the same time every day, you'd be pretty confused if all of a sudden it was like a live action show about different characters.
Yeah.
Like if it's completely different content, but it's the show that you thought that you were watching at that time, you
And
just
that's what a
click
YouTube
away.
channel, when you start mixing and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so thinking of it more as a show rather than a channel, and finding out like, what is that show? Is it like a reaction show? Is it like interviewing people on a train? Is it technical tutorials on Next.js? Uh, Trying to work out what is the show that is going to be like pretty similar every single time
Yeah.
I create an episode
Yeah. To
of
create
this.
that consistency.
Yeah. So I was pushing for, let's create different channels. But we were it was hard to work out how to slice that, because I was thinking like another thing that I think plays into this is like people connect with personalities as well. So
Yes.
I think there are people who would watch Tyler's videos who aren't as interested in watching my videos, and vice versa.
Yep.
I think they are connecting with something to do with our personality, which again is throwing like a different thing each time we create a new video.
Uh-huh.
And so I was pushing for us to create personal channels, and then
Mm.
have, so like I would create a personal John Myers channel that focused on using Next.js with Supabase. And that was going to be like the entire niche and the what I would focus every video on. Tyler at the time was going to create a like Flutter focused Tyler channel. And so you could connect with Tyler as Tyler's personality, or you could connect with the Flutter content he was creating. But that was kind of like, yeah, niching down to one repeatable thing that would be consistent every time a new video dropped. The challenge there when you work for a company is that, like, if you leave the company, you're taking this huge slice of their audience with you. And
Yep.
so I think we always wanted there to be still like a main Supabase channel. Actually, something I was using as an example of that does this really well, I think, is Vercel. And so Vercel has a main Vercel channel, but then Lee Robinson has his own channel. Delba has her own channel. Everyone has their own separate YouTube communities, Twitter communities, whatever, that they're building up. And
Mm-hmm.
then when they do a big event, like if they do a Next.js conf or
It's on the Vercel channel. Yeah.
yeah, it's on the Vercel channel, but it also like it pulls all of these like parallel communities together for a big event. And I was kind of looking at structuring it like that, where we build up these separate communities that are like focusing on us as a content creator, and then bringing them together for big events like launch week and things like that. But yeah, then it was kind of like, what would be the content that would go out on the main channel? Like we still wanted to grow the main channel, and unless we like we don't really do much like webinar stuff at the moment, or like enterprisey. Like I think Vercel and also Planet Scale and a bunch of other channels have this particular type of content that they usually put out on the main channel,
Yep.
and then kind of have more like technical, like practical content, I guess, on their own personal channels. And so thinking about like breaking it into multiple channels, the only way that it would work breaking it into those separate channels would be if we were going to invest heavily in like making sure that we are consistent with it. And so if we were going to break it up into separate channels, we would still need to release a video like every week on those separate channels. And so we go from potentially releasing like a video every week on the main
To one
channel
per
split
channel.
across the team to everyone in the team needing to create a video every single week. And when we were
Yep.
slicing it, when we looked at slicing it into like a web specific Supabase channel and a mobile specific Supabase channel, we would need to make sure that we're putting out basically twice as much content to keep both of those channels going. And
Yep.
so, yeah, I think there was also this kind of like a little bit of the start of this wave of AI stuff, which we were noticing was getting a lot of engagement and a lot of traction, and so decided to just kind of like ride that out and see how that goes first.
Yep.
And then just ended up kind of moving away from the idea of separate channels because we were creating less separate content.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I think like if you have wildly different content, if we had stuck with that, like creating completely different content on the side of like the two sides of a fence and being like, this is web content, this is mobile content. If we kept having stuff that was so uh, isolated, then I think we would create a separate channel for Superbase Web, Superbase
Yep.
Mobile, and then maybe like Superbase main channel, which is just like all the other kind of, I guess, more enterprisey marketing, all the like Superbase, like the launch week videos, any like things about specifically about Superbase features or Postgres itself would probably go on that main channel. But then
Yep.
anything that specifically focuses on implementing this in a web framework or implementing this on mobile would go on those other
Yeah.
channels.
I think part of it is the UX UI of YouTube, which doesn't really let you have a main. Instead of a YouTube channel, it should be a YouTube TV, and then you have multiple channels within your own TV. Like think of there's a conference, a multi-stage conference. There's the main stage, where there's the keynote and all the big things, and then there's like the front end and design room and the back end room, and then there's different threads. And conference I run like this, where a backend dev will go see the main conference keynotes in the main thing, and then they're like, oh, today I'm sticking to the hallway, this one, because that's where all my nerdy stuff is. There's not really a way to do that in YouTube. Like, I feel like it would make so much sense if you had the Superbase YouTube channel and then you had like sub channels or topics or threads or like whatever is the term to say, hey, interested in mobile development, check out our Think channel and then this one. I think Adam and Aaron Francis talked about it on the recent podcast of the whole also having content created by a person, because people get attached to people, not companies and brands and stuff. And so if you create a video for the Superbase channel, it's like John Myers from the Superbase umbrella who posts this, and then people can subscribe to just you within the channel. And so if another person does a video, it's not affecting your sub audience, but someone who subscribed to the whole thing kind of still gets it.
For sure.
I feel like they could make that change fairly easily. It's just like a relationship in the schema. Like there's
Yeah.
creators and then channels, and then each creator belongs to a channel, one to many relationship.
Yeah, I'm very surprised they haven't launched something like this. Like, it would make so much sense with how the algorithm seems to work in terms
Yeah.
of like how they are surfacing videos. You would think that there would be these options to further categorize things for them and like
And you can create
nudge.
multiple accounts as a user. Like in the YouTube UI, you can go add channel, and they're all connected to the same email address, Google account. But nothing shows a toggle switch for the consumers. Like, oh, you like John Mayer stuff? He also does whatever Dungeons and Dragons channel, and then you can go check that out. There's nothing that tells you that, and I would love to have one. We were talking about topics that you love and that people want. And for me, especially with my kids growing into this culture, basketball is huge. I'm obsessed with basketball. I think basketball, I play basketball, I coach, I volunteer, I do all the things my kids play. And I know I see people doing YouTube channels on basketball, and it just takes off crazy because the web development niche is like this, and basketball is like
Mm,
huge, way much
true.
bigger. And I'm like, I would love to do some like game breakdowns on like shooting drills and techniques. I talked about it already, but I don't want to put that on my main channel. And what do I start with? Simon Swiss teaches basketball with 0 subscribers and 0 audience. Like, how do it sucks that I can't say, hey, I know there's a few nerds out there because I've seen a basketball game, Laravel versus React. I'm sure there's at least 12 people who could nerd out on some basketball shooting drills. I'm doing this and try to bring some of my developer audience without penalizing the whole channel for doing so.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like there would be people that just want to watch that because they like your personality. They like you as Simon
Mm.
Swiss, not Simon Frashley Otis, and not just, yeah, not necessarily the coding or the basketball side. Like they don't, yeah.
Yeah.
It would make complete sense. And then, like, because you're giving further categorization to YouTube, like, you know, they could more heavily weight, like, let's say there's the Superbase YouTube channel, and then we create like the John and the Tyler underneath that.
Yeah.
Like, Tyler's videos, they could push out more aggressively to Tyler's audience and then trial it with mine and say, like, you know, do people that watch a lot
Is
of
there
John's
any
content
interest, any
like to watch
crossover? Yeah.
this specific video? Like, yeah, it seems like it would make so much more sense from YouTube's standpoint to allow you to create these like related channels that
Yeah.
belong. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any UI showing in any shape or form. Uh, yeah, this creator has also this channel.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
don't
even
know
just
how it is
linking.
on Twitch or anything, but
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like your channel is like a TV or like just a place where you share stuff on the internet, and then it's, hey, I have more than one interest. Even if it's tags or
Mm.
categories, I don't know. It's just some way to have vertical segments and then present them and let people choose.
Yeah. Yeah, it's surprising you can't even say, like, this is my other channel where I focus on this other thing. Um,
Yeah,
like there's this cooking channel I watch a lot. Do you know Josh Wiseman?
I've heard the name. I don't know.
He's like, I guess he's like the Mr. Beast of cooking channels or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, he's the one dominating that niche. Um, and yeah, he started off making like one-to-one recipe videos. And so, like, it would be like, I'm showing you how to make this dish. You go and get all these ingredients and you put them in. And then over time, it's, you know, like any of those successful channels, has morphed to more of like an entertaining uh kind of yeah, an entertainment channel that
because
still
that's
is
what
about
people relate
cooking,
to. Yeah.
but it's, yeah, it's not like focusing down on like, this is how you create this specific recipe. And so obviously grew the channel a lot, but a lot of the like initial audience is like, but we want those cooking videos,
Yeah, I
like
don't
teach
care
us
about
these
the
things.
entertain.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't care about your like game show about cooking or whatever, just like give me recipes.
Yeah.
So he spun up a second channel, which, like, his first channel has, you know, like 10 million subscribers or whatever. The new one has like maybe like 500,000 or something at this point.
Starting from zero after making, I guess if you have millions of subscribers, you can fairly easily point these people and get the first few 10,000s locked in.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. Is like the only reason that he can like stream some of those into the new channel
He's
is
got the
because he has
distribution already.
such, yeah, a massive audience that, like, he did a couple of videos on the main channel, like trying to push people towards that content. And so because he has such a massive platform, he can push some people there. But like, yeah, it's surprising that even at that level, like, YouTube hasn't given him the ability to link these two channels and say, like, if you want this specific content, go and
Go there.
subscribe
Yeah.
here. And again, like, do the testing with that audience of like, we know these two things are the same person. I'm sure they do. Like, I'm sure, you know, they've put together a whole bunch of knowledge
Oh, they have a
behind the scenes. But
mesh of like, yeah,
yeah,
metrics, but expose that to the user. Yeah.
yeah, totally. But this brings me to my next point. The final point, the last one. We've done terribly at making this a short episode.
When do we
Once
not?
again, it's just too much fun to talk to you, Simon.
Likewise.
The last one is making it entertaining in some way. This is like a really good segue from what we were just talking about. That um, I think this is particularly hard with creating educational content, and actually using Josh's YouTube channel as an example
Yeah.
is a really, really great example of, like, he used to create basically what we create, which is like a technical tutorial. So we create something that teaches something. That's what he was doing with cooking initially. He was creating a recipe, and each episode was like creating this specific recipe. And I think he identified that same thing, that like, well, people might not want, like, people might not know the name of that recipe, or like it might even be in a different
Yeah. So they're
language.
not
Like,
going to look up for this video.
exactly. It might have like a French name or whatever, and you don't know what that is. You don't even know that this dish exists. And so you're not searching specifically for that
Yeah.
dish to be able to make it.
So then you get into the 7 meals that are surefire to be a party hit.
Exactly.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so then you have to get into that kind of content, which is
Yeah.
like entertaining and fun and like
Or discovery. Yeah.
yeah, to try to like to get people to see the video who wouldn't have been searching for it initially. And then, you know, he's grown the channel to the like to the point of tens of millions of subscribers, and a lot of the videos that he does now are like, I tried every single chicken nugget in all of America and rated them on like a S tier scale. Um,
Like Mr. Beast type, like
exactly. Like it becomes it
a
just
hook, instant hook. Yeah.
eventually becomes this like entertainment value, like like fun show, game show type thing where someone's doing something ridiculous instead of like the niche that it started out at as like teaching people a particular thing. And so I
Yeah.
think that's something that is really hard that I always struggle with from a content creation standpoint is that I know that like if I create, you know, more entertaining content, then that will get more views, but it moves away from like the point of the Superbase YouTube channel is to teach people stuff and to make them aware of what Superbase is. And so if I'm just creating like random entertaining videos, like it doesn't really serve the purpose of the Superbase YouTube channel to teach people how to like use particular things.
Yeah, yes, but also if you think of the meme channel, it doesn't teach anything, but it brings audience and community and like affiliation and affection for the brand.
True.
So I'm sure if you entertain and if they realize, oh, uh, John is really good with the synthesizers and doing a video where he teach how to do the basic chords to impress your wife or your kids, and that takes off, then I'm sure there's a business value in growing the channel through because it's all your profile already says CEO of music production at Superbase or something.
Yeah,
Art
totally.
music art director, CEO
Yeah.
DJ.
And so that's what I've been trying to do a lot more of recently is
Mm,
um like I've been trying to introduce a lot more like storytelling stuff. And so rather than just being like, here is learning this particular thing, trying to find a way to like motivate that story. So
yeah,
I've been doing a lot more like playing silly characters or like acting out that I like don't know about this thing or whatever. But trying to find a way to like to make it so that me, the character in the video, like has a reason to learn that thing or a reason to reach for that thing rather than just being like, here's connecting this thing to this thing.
yeah,
Here's how to do this technical bit. Something that I found really hits this point really, really well is this South Park. The South Park creators just like randomly turned up to like a storytelling university class to do like a talk about how they like structure stories when they're
yeah.
building out a South Park episode. Um, it was something that my boss sent to me, who also has been. We'll talk about that soon, but has been like a huge reason that this YouTube channel has pushed in this like really fun direction.
Nice.
Anyway,
Yeah,
he sent me this video of the South Park creators doing a talk at a like a writing university course um, about using the structure of but and therefore. So rather than just like listing out a bunch of like separate things that happen, it's like, you know, when you're teaching someone a tutorial, it's just like run this command and then do this and then do this and then this
yeah.
will
It's very
happen.
procedural.
Yeah, rather than it just being like a random sequence of things that aren't related, trying to link every one of those to affecting each other. So if you're uh, like if you're teaching something about a technical concept, if something unexpected happens, so you're like this, you know, we're coding this thing out, but this thing happened, so therefore this other thing happened. Like it changes the pathway of the story, or
Yeah,
it changes the trajectory of where you think you're going. Um, and yeah, it was like a really interesting way. Like it was kind of like something I was doing to some degree subconsciously, but like thinking about this actual like intentional process of trying to structure a
yeah,
story or a video or whatever, trying to structure a collection of separate scenes, trying to link them together where there is like this uh you know, more of a reason that things are happening. This scene actually affected this next scene, and then this next scene meant that we created the third scene. Like it would have gone a different direction if this thing hadn't happened. So
yeah.
structuring things with but and therefore is something that I've been doing a lot more
Nice.
intentionally
Yeah,
with recent content.
yeah. That's cool. Yeah, the most TV sitcoms and movies also have the everything's fine, and then there's a trauma, something terrible happens, and you're like, oh no, this is gonna end bad, and then someone resolves it, and then the next challenge arrives, and you get these peaks and valleys. I feel like AI might be pretty good if you already have the topic to say, hey, try to break it down into but therefore
Yeah,
points
it's true.
instead of this linear stuff. I might try play with this, like just create this. Oh, you could bring this bug here, and this means that everything you talked about is kind of like dead, but then comes to the rescue the new edge function, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a perfect example of how that can be like brought into this technical context. You're still teaching something. It doesn't just need to be some like fictional story. You're still teaching something, but like heading towards something and then you get an error. Like you intentionally like run it into a wall where something happens. And then that motivates like, all right, now we need to learn this next thing. Like
Yep.
there's a reason we're getting this error. So let's dive into that. And it just introduces a little bit of like a reason that someone is watching it, a
Yep.
reason that they want to keep watching it and get to the end.
I tried to do that with my React course on Laracast, where because people are like, oh, why do you need the build tool for React? Because other frameworks just work straight in the browser. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna try using React without React, because without JSX, you can just use create element and have function calls. And I show how frustrating it gets real quick. And I say, look at the output. JSX is like, it looks like HTML and does the same for you. And then we try run it in the browser, and we're like, doesn't recognize the angle bracket, and so I bring Babel and stuff, and that explains why like you need just this little tool that transcribes this to something the browser understands. And I think it took people on the journey quite well, instead of just saying, okay, we're gonna use Webpack or Vite or whatever to process stuff, not explaining why. It's kind of let's just try index.html file to output React and see. There comes the but that doesn't work, and then that explains why the build step is here. So I think I've followed that pretty nicely.
Totally. Yeah. Not just giving people the answer straight up front and being like, here's all the things you need to wire up because I've got a bunch of experience doing this and I've decided these are the best tools. Like intentionally hitting those friction points to be like, and now we need to learn about this thing. This is why this part is important. It definitely helps with like retention of someone deciding to continue watching, but even just like retaining that information after watching it. If you're like introducing it in this more interesting way and teaching them not only the things they should use, but like actually allowing them to hit the point where they need to use them and need to learn about them, they're
Yeah,
going to retain that knowledge much further beyond just watching the video. And
nice.
so, yeah, another way of looking at this is like hooking and rehooking the audience. And so having like an initial hook up front that makes the video like
Mm,
an interesting, fun thing to watch. So like, what are we going to learn? Like some bold claim of some big thing. So rather than just being like, I used this example in the previous podcast episode, but like rather than being like indexing in Postgres, the hook of the video can be like increase your or reduce your database query time by 42,000%. Like have
yeah,
some big bold claim that's like, oh wow, here's the like the
that
big
sounds good to
value.
me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
the little hook that just keeps you entertained for 30 seconds until you're like, might click away, and then the next hook comes in right on time.
you need to rehook it. Yeah, exactly. And so that's where these like kind of this but and therefore style of like of storytelling comes in because you need to like have these little micro hooks or these smaller things that you're
Yeah.
um like a good example of this is well yeah, basically what you just said that like rather than just giving them the answer um kind of like so rather than saying we're gonna do this thing, introducing the idea that like there's some problem that we're trying to solve. There's some part that we need to slot in there. And so uh yeah, rather than just giving them the answer, spending a little bit more time like going through something and then getting to the answer, hinting at what the answer is going to be, hinting that there's something we're going to get to, but going on a little bit of a journey to get to that thing rather
Yeah.
than just upfront saying this is what the thing is and this is what we're going to use.
Yeah, that's one thing Jeffrey Way at Laracast is amazing at. He always says to the audience, "Oh, this is gonna feel weird, but come along for the ride." And he just say, "Hey, just bear with me for a second," and then it shows you a thing, and then it's like, "Oh, turns out Laravel has this function that has the exact same dream API that we were hoping to have before, but it does it all for you. But it's a really, like, I love how it says, come along for the ride. It's like, just let me take you on a little bit of a trauma experience so you can appreciate the niceness of the wrapper that abstracts that away for you. And I try to do that with JSX, and like you don't have to use JSX if you don't want to build step. You can write a JS file and do create that element, React that create element. But then as you start nesting stuff, it becomes chaos really quickly. And wouldn't you rather have HTML looking stuff that's super easy to read?
Yeah, that's such a great example of making them feel that thing. And so like, not just saying use this because it makes it much easier. Like drag it through, like it being difficult, show the struggle and the thing that
Come
like,
be miserable with me for a bit. I had
yeah,
to, so
exactly.
you're going to have to, and then
Yeah. But
yeah,
that
but
in
that creates
itself
the
is like
contrast. Yeah,
that in itself is entertaining, that it's like fun that you're
yes,
like taking them along on that journey. Um, but yes,
yeah,
we've failed at making this a short episode. Other thing I
it's
wanted to
okay.
say was shout out to Craig Cannon, who has come on board to Superbase like 4 or 5 months ago and has been a huge inspiration in like pushing the channel in this direction and really like challenging
Nice.
like whether we need to do particular types of videos, or kind of breaking down those um, like barriers that we have mentally imposed on the kind of content we can create, and being like, well, why can't we do that? And so like, filming in this big fancy set is a good example of that, where it was just like, well, we need to do launch week videos like this because we always do. But it's like, well, should we just try spending the money and getting a big fancy studio and see whether that affects the views? And it massively did. Like the views are hugely up from previous launch weeks. Um, or like we've been doing a bunch of these really nicely shot like honeypot style tech
Yeah, yeah.
documentaries.
You were mentioning that you send a team to.
Yeah,
Has
yeah. And so
Aaron applied for it? Like, 'cause you seemed pretty keen when we.
yeah, we're talking about it now, about doing a Try
Nice,
Hard Studios one. But yeah, it's like
great
I
idea.
had this kind of mental, like just personally imposed belief that we need to create these YouTube videos just with ourselves in our home studios or whatever. And he challenged that and was like, well, why can't we just send a film crew, like a documentary crew,
Yep.
to this place and just get someone who specializes in editing documentaries together to edit it, and then you don't even need to be there. We can do it all remotely, like work out the talking points and stuff and do the research up front, but then we can just get handed back a version and then give feedback on it. And it's like, I never would have thought to do that on my own, but just having someone else come into the team and really like challenge those things that are like limiting factors that we're imposing on
You've
ourselves.
imposed without realizing. Yeah, the
Yeah,
guiding rails, and someone comes in with fresh eyes, like, hey, little deviation here might be just to explore, and then we can come back.
yeah, yeah. So huge
Try
shout out,
things.
Craig.
Nice.
Massive reason I think this YouTube channel is growing in the way that it is. But we should wrap up with some sick picks. This has become almost the longest episode we've done in a very long time. Simon, do you have a sick pick for me?
I have multiples. I'm so confused now. Um, okay, because you've done it the last episode, which was an hour ago, I'm going to sick pick a tube light for the background as well.
All right. Simon is grabbing the tube light.
This, I don't even know the brand, but it's from Amazon, and it comes in pairs of 2. So in Australian dollars, when I bought it, it was 50% off during the whatever sales week. It was $48 for 2 of them.
Wow.
They are USB-C rechargeable, and you can. I've got 4 of them. I bought 2. I bought 1 set, and it was so good I instantly bought a second set. You can have them plugged in on the USB-C while they're turned on, but the intensity will slow down to 60% max so they don't overheat. But that's 60%, and it's freaking bright. Like,
Yeah.
and so I can have them without ever worrying of it just turning off halfway through the recording. And they have 3 sets. They have RGB, so you can change to any color you want by spinning the wheel. Then they have different weird modes. One of them, I was gonna say it's useless, but one of them is police. And I really, when people speed at night in roads, I really want to take one of these tube lights and hit them with, wait, here it comes. I want to hit them with that. You go in the dark, and as they speed, you just put that.
Yeah.
And it's like blue and red light flashing exactly like a police car. And they would instantly pile on the brake and be like, oh no.
That's amazing.
And then it has a more traditional white, like natural white to tungsten yellow, whatever Kelvins, from 250 to 7 or 9,000, I think. So you can really try to match the color temperature of the room if you want. And yeah, turn them on, off. I don't think the battery lasts very long, but because I have them plugged in, it's like non-factor. And I forgot to say they have magnets, so if you have a metal beam, you can just bling.
That is very cool.
They feel a little bit cheap and plasticky, and if I drop it explodes. But I've got 4 of them. They all work really nicely, and they're surprisingly bright.
That
That's
is
my
very
sick
cool.
pick.
Yeah. Oh my god, so bright. That's amazing. Yes, we used similar tube lights for these fancy launch week videos that we recorded in Spain. And then, if you were listening to the previous episode, I sick picked some tubes that I bought to pretend I was in the same space uh, for the final launch week video, which was not filmed in Spain, but was made to look like it was filmed in Spain.
Recreate. Just a
Uh,
punch-in little pull request to the video.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm gonna sick pick something that has just come out. It's gonna be maybe super niche, although yeah, it's kind of
On brand.
on brand for this podcast and this episode. But new version of DaVinci Resolve came out.
Oh,
DaVinci
yes.
Resolve 20. It's just the first public beta, I think. But they have introduced like so many cool AI toys that people have been asking for a while. One of
Yeah.
which is animated subtitles, which I think
With
I'll
the
probably
karaoke stuff, yeah.
yeah.
Like we're able to do with the Riverside. And when I do in Resolve, I was like, oh, I wish there was a highlight on the word that's being said. So that's
Mm,
been added, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And you can do all kinds of crazy stuff like train an AI voice and be able to like change what you're saying in a video or change what you're like change someone else's video to be your voice and things like that. There's like an auto leveler for all of the audio in your project. So if you have like sound effects and music and stuff, it can just like automatically detect like, oh, you started talking and there's music playing, so I'm going to duck down the
Yeah, let
music.
me do
Yeah.
mastering for you. Yeah.
Uh, and one of the really cool things, which I think I might use, depends how much I actually stick to a script, but they released this cool feature where uh, if you give it a bunch of takes, so you just give it like one very long video file or whatever, and then you give it a script,
It
it
tries to.
can
Oh,
detect all the times that you've said the same thing and detect that they are all the same like take or whatever, sorry, different takes of the same part of the script, um, and it will like stack all of them automatically for you and just enable the
so you
bottom
can
one.
choose. You can. It
Yeah.
doesn't do the edit. It lets you choose the. Oh,
And so it does its first like best guess, which is just use the
the
last
last
version of
one.
all of them. So
Yeah.
it puts together all of these takes that match the script of all the different things. But then like if you're like, actually I didn't really have the right energy in that take, you can just like one click be like, I want to try out the one above that. What was the last take I did, or what was the first take of that I did, and it will just like automatically swap in that version of it.
That's
Um,
sick.
and so yeah, if you were doing videos that stuck pretty closely to a script, or even if you yeah, I guess you'd need to pre-edit it if you were going to generate a script. But anyway, it's just yeah, a really cool way to very quickly edit together a video,
Mm,
which I think I will definitely experiment with because that's basically how I edit my videos,
yep.
or how Kara edits my videos when she does them is just like basically get rid of all I remove
All
all of
but
the
one.
silences
Yeah.
and then I remove all of the mistakes and just go with the last version of it. And then the video is like 85% edited at that point, and then
Yeah.
it's just
That's
like
yeah.
fine-tuned tweaking.
But I love that it stacks them instead of removing them and you're not sure, oh, should I trust that it actually didn't cut something it thought was the same?
Yeah.
I was paying for AI services to do that, try to detect so I have this app I can't think of the name now, Recut, that kind of cuts the silences. And then I was using another tool that finds the repeats and keeps the last one, and then exports in a XML file so you can bring in Resolve. But if it's in-house, it's amazing. Because Resolve already in 19 had the ability to cut silences. But if you can also now, because my videos have a lot of retakes, I re-say the same thing. Even if I nailed it, I'm like, I'll just do a second take, and then in post I can choose. Plot twist, I always pick the last, because once I'm in edit mode, I look for the. So even if I had a really great take, if I do another one, I'm gonna keep that one, because when I edit, I pick the last one every time.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to have a stack of say, hey, we think that these three are the same. I thought you were gonna say that it picks the three and interpolates the best sounding word of each and does
that would be cool.
And your face is like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. That would be hard to match especially with the very animated hands that I've discovered that I have while recording videos. That would be hard to match all the hand movements.
On Resolve Check, one thing, there's a transition called a smooth cut, and in Resolve 19, it's a mix between blur, crossfade, and scale, and it's AI. It kind of looks for points that it thinks matches and kind of morphs almost like if you make it slow, it feels like a little water bubbly, and if you go fast, it kind of hides a little snappy. It like if your head is here and the next word you like this, it kind of fades like this. And in Resolve 19, it worked already really well, but in the new one, it's like crazy intelligent, and it kind of interpolates frames with like what it thinks your head would have. If my hand is here and then it's closed fist, it's gonna try to go tuk, 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 and add some frames, which is really cool.
All right, my camera has died, which is the perfect time to say thank you for watching yet another episode of the Napbar podcast. This has been super fun, and hopefully you have picked up some tips and tricks along the way for how you can improve your own stats on YouTube and how you can develop your own fruitful niche. But Simon, thank you so much for joining me. And we'll see you again next week.
It's been a fun, short episode, and congratulations again on the 50,000 subs. It's awesome, and you're doing a great job. Keep doing what you do, man.
Thanks, man.